The privately owned Boblo Island is home to a number of historic gems, and some are worried about whether they're being properly cared for.
I think that says November 23rd, 1838 was when they started, and they finished it in 39.
Bill Brundage lives in Amherstburg. He loves history and spent years leading the charge to restore the wartime British blockhouse on Boblo's south end. This is what it used to look like.
I was appalled at the condition it was in. And so I said, somebody's got to do something. This is a very historic building.
It was rebuilt with community funding and support from the late engineer Norm Becker. It was a labor of love. But in the last few years, access to it became more limited. Brundage is worried about its future.
They let me go over, but that's it. I just go over and look at it.
He used to help care for it, and despite having Parkinson's disease, he'd like to continue doing so. But Amoco, the company that owns the blockhouse and most of the island, says it's become a safety issue and he's not allowed inside. The structure is fully fenced off now, despite being a National Historic Site.
I think it should be open to the public.
In recent years, public access to the island has been limited in general. Only residents and invited guests are allowed to take the ferry over to the island.
It will be open to the public in the fullness of time.
Cindy Prince is the VP of Development for Amoco. She says construction in the area of the blockhouse and the protection of the island's endangered snakes are both factors, but she hopes to open up more of Boblo to the public in the next 5 years. But Brundage doesn't really believe it.
Sorry.
This one's fun, so you've got to...
Meg Reiner is the collections coordinator at the Marsh Historical Collection in Amherstburg. They have collected memorabilia over the years related to Boblo's heyday. She says the island is still full of gems, like the lighthouse managed by Parks Canada.
That's an important building because it represents the marine history of the area. You know, Amherstburg was a huge port, and that's a big part of our history here. And then the Blockhouse has that military connection. And then you also have all the buildings that represent the amusement park years.
The amusement park buildings are municipally designated properties of interest rather than having official heritage designation.
That only protects them from demolition, so they can still experience demolition by neglect.
She says she'd like to see them repurposed, like the dance hall. CBC was able to go inside.
So this is a dance hall.
That's so cool.
It's very cool.
Prince says the company would like to reopen it one day after other projects are completed.
I don't know what the appropriate adaptive reuse is, but you can see the stone and the steel is still in beautiful condition.
She says anyone worried about the future of the buildings on the island need not be concerned.
At this point in time, we have an agreement with the municipality that we will preserve these buildings. We also have an obligation under our site plan agreement with the municipality to preserve these buildings in an appropriate manner.
The town's heritage planner confirms they last went to Boblo in the fall to walk around and check that the buildings are properly boarded up and that the conservation plan is being followed.
My daughter put this together for a Christmas present for me.
For Brundage, the blockhouse continues to have hold of his heart, and he hopes to share it with the community once again.
It's not to show off what I've done. That's not the idea. Because we had all sorts of volunteers working on it. It's just something that is history.
Katerina, Georgieva, CBC News, Amherstburg.